Hi, so I am back with part 2 of my story of dealing with a choledochal cyst. So I left off at knowing that I will have to have surgery and not knowing exactly what kind of surgery. So once I was released from the hospital on November 28th, I believe it was, my mother had already set up an appointment with a GI specialist at Barnes-Jewish Hospital in St. Louis. And that doctor, his name is Dr. Strasberg, and I'm reading his card here. He is a specialist of hepatobiliary, pancreatic, and gastrointestinal surgery. Straight off the card, not sure if I pronounced it right. I gave him my best go though. But my appointment was December 4th with this doctor. So we get there and get all checked in and everything, and we're speaking to one of his residents, and she's just going over some of the information that we already knew, talking about what I have and kind of how serious it was. And then the doctor comes in and he goes to a chart that has a picture of the abdomen's anatomy and kind of showing us where everything is, and we'd seen that already, so this was all sounding very familiar. And then he pulls up one of my scans, and I believe it was my CT scan that I'd gotten done at my last hospital stay. And he's showing me the actual cyst and where everything is located. It was kind of cool to see everything that was going on. So we're looking at that, and he's telling me that it is going to have to be an open surgery to remove my gallbladder and the cyst. I don't know the medical terms for those, but the only one I do know is that after they remove those two things, they have to do a root and Y procedure, and that's to pull intestines up and connect it, because they're cutting out those two pieces, the cyst and my gallbladder. So that's kind of surgery that I'm going to be having. He's saying my scar will be from the top of my abdomen to, he's hoping to stop at the top of my belly button, but he doesn't know for sure if that's exactly where my incision is going to end. Going into it, I'd had about a week between getting out of the hospital and going to this appointment. So we'd done some research and all of this was sounding familiar. I was hoping the surgery would be laparoscopic, but I didn't have my hopes up for it because of the positioning of where everything is. And after he goes through explaining all of that, he's saying, okay, let's go ahead and get you scheduled. The next time that I have open is December 12th, which is about a week from the appointment that I'm sitting at currently. And I'm like, that's a little bit too soon. I have to work things out with work, and my little sister was going to be graduating, and I was not going to be missing that for the world. So I said that's a no-go for me. My parents were wanting me to go ahead and take that opportunity to get it done, but I wasn't ready. It wouldn't have worked out. And I understand it's kind of serious, the stuff that I'm dealing with, but it wasn't so urgent that I had to drop everything I was doing and go into surgery the next week. I just wasn't ready. So he puts me on an even stricter diet. He gives me a piece of paper that has every single thing that I can and cannot eat, and we schedule my surgery for January 4th. And that's that. I have to go in for my pre-surgery check. It was basically a physical, and then they drew some blood and gave me information about the things I need to do before surgery and just different things like that. So that appointment's done. I have a surgery date. Everything is great. And they're telling me that I'll need to do this ERCP. That term kept coming up. It came up when I was in the hospital the last time. They said someone will probably want to do that to see, but no one had said anything about it. But the doctor did say that term, but didn't really schedule anything for me. So a few weeks later, I get a call wanting to schedule that, and we go ahead and put that on December 20th. Now, I'm working, so I go ahead and make it on the day where I can get to St. Louis real quick to do this procedure. They're saying it'll take about 4 hours. I'm going to be put under some type of anesthesia, so I won't be able to drive back to Kansas City. So I schedule transportation to get there and transportation back. I'm thinking it'll be a quick day thing and I'll be fine. But they do tell me there is a chance of pancreatitis because of the procedure, and then especially because of what I have going on. So I get to Barnes Jewish on the morning of the 20th for this ERCP. Everything is going great. I get checked in and they go ahead and hook me up to my IV and everything and get me wheeled into the room and get ready to start the procedure. And my doctor, Dr. Das, was great, and he said everything went well. So that procedure is over. The ERCP, they just went in through my mouth and sent a scope down and was viewing everything that was going on. And he said everything went perfectly fine. They got all of the information that they needed. And I'm coming out of it wasn't anesthesia, it was sedation. So I'm coming out of my sedation. I'm in the recovery room and nurses are checking on me and everything is going fine. But once the medicine starts really wearing off, I don't feel very well. And my doctor says you probably shouldn't get on a train to go back to Kansas City alone. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and have to call off of work for the next day because my doctor doesn't want me on a train. Fine. So around 2:30 p.m., we're leaving the hospital. I'm still not feeling very well, but they're saying because a scope was sent down my throat that I'm not going to feel the best. So that's what I'm thinking it is. So I get home with my mom and I'm just still not feeling very well. I'm laying down. I'm very sore and tender in my abdomen and things just aren't feeling right. So I'm laying down, try to eat some food that really doesn't go over well, and come around 6:00 p.m., I'd say, it turns for the worse. Things start getting worse. I end up throwing up, and that does not make me feel good. So I jump back in the bed, try to drink some Gatorade, and then something else changed. I ended up having to throw up again, and it was very violent feeling. It was very, very uncomfortable to throw up. And at that point I said, we got to go back to the hospital because something is not right. I'm now in extreme pain. And so we're heading back to the hospital with my mom and my dad. And we get there and I'm saying, I think I have pancreatitis because I had this procedure done and they said there was a chance for pancreatitis to happen. So I think that's what's going on. So we're in the ER waiting room and they're getting me checked in. I am in excruciating pain. I thought the first pain that I was in when I went to the hospital was bad. This was absolute terrible pain. So they're trying to get me checked in and everything. They get me back into a room to draw my blood, and I'm in a wheelchair because it is very difficult for me to walk. I am so weak because I haven't eaten. I had this procedure done earlier and I couldn't eat. And afterwards, I threw up everything that I put down in my stomach. And we're waiting to be admitted into the hospital, and I start throwing up bile fluid, and that was even more strained than the last time that I threw up because there was nothing on my stomach and bile fluid is coming up, and I can immediately tell the difference in the way that it looked. So now I'm in an ER room and I'm laying in the bed, and I'm not going to really go into the treatment at the ER. It was absolutely terrible. But finally, a doctor comes in to see me because they were waiting on my results of my blood work, and they were saying my lipase levels, which are supposed to be at around 100, was at 2400. So it was definitely pancreatitis that was going on. So I'm getting admitted into the hospital at this point for acute pancreatitis.